Hey everyone, welcome to Tax Tea Talk with IRS Revenue Agent Mr. Peter Nicholson. He should be joining us any minute. It's been a wonderful week for us over here at the Tax Medics Year. I hope you guys had a wonderful week as well. What are you guys' plans? Christmas is next week, and he is here. Are you
There
able
we
to
go.
hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, nice! I'm so
Hello, hello,
glad.
hello.
How are you
Okay,
doing tonight, Mr. Nicholson?
I am doing great. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are things going at the IRS? Did you bring your tea tonight? I,
I
I
brought my
forgot to
tea.
ask. What type of tea you got?
Just some regular. Well, actually, it's really coffee, but
Okay.
I
So,
like coffee over tea. I drink my tea cold because I'm a Southern guy.
right. And I like mine hot, and that's okay. At the end of the day, we still got tea. So, what's going on at the IRS right now?
Okay, so I'm trying to like set up the camera so you can see me a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, is this fine?
Yes, this is
Okay.
perfect.
Awesome. I'm glad I can get to the Tea Talk. So, for everybody, I'm an accountant. I'm not an IT person. So, bear with me with my technical difficulties.
So, how are things going at the IRS right now?
Oh my. So, it's very interesting overall. There's a lot of things going on right now, as you know. I mean, the government is like going through like this continuing resolution. We don't even know if we're gonna be funded, if there's gonna be a shutdown. So, like, everybody in the IRS is kind of like freaking out, like, are we gonna get paid? What's that? But kind of like on a more personal level, at the IRS, I think there's a big push to hire more personnel, or at least there was right before this new administration.
Mm-hmm.
During the Biden administration, we must have increased our personnel almost twice because basically when Democrats are in charge, we
Mm-hmm.
hire more because we know when
Mm-hmm.
Republicans are in charge, they're not going to want to, they're going to more so cut it. So
Mm-hmm.
I got hired as part of that wave of Biden new IRS agents. I don't know, a lot of people probably remember the headlines like 87,000 new
Oh,
IRS agents.
yes, I remember that. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm one of them, I guess.
Oh, nice. Okay, okay. So
Mhm.
I wanted to talk to you about tax crimes tonight because there's a few things going on out here. One of the top things being like business owners. A lot of them are not taking their bookkeeping serious, and they're not being proactive, which means they're not doing it throughout the year. They want to do everything at the end of the year. And then they want to turn around and be like, oh, I don't have to do this quarterly activity, or I don't have to pay this estimated tax right now. I can just do it at the end of the year. And they're just not taking it serious. Like, what is your take on that? Like, being an IRS revenue officer, from your point of view, like, how does that affect the business owner? And, give me your 2 cents on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Not keeping track of expenses, deductions, not paying your taxes quarterly, it's a big issue. And as a revenue agent, we will go after those taxpayers very quickly. And you're going to face penalties. You're going to have to pay back all your taxes that you owe. And you don't
Mm-hmm.
want to go through that hassle because you just want to have an organized books and records,
Mm-hmm.
pay your taxes quarterly.
Yeah.
It's a big thing and it's a crime.
Mm-hmm.
It can be intentional or unintentional, but either way it can be a crime and you don't want to be a taxpayer caught up in that mess. So if you're
Right.
not going to do your bookkeeping yourself, hire a bookkeeper or a tax preparer to do your bookkeeping for you because they'll keep it organized for you so that in case of an audit, you're protected. and that's what you want to be, because the IRS has hired so many new revenue agents. We have the staff to go after folks, unfortunately, you know.
Mm. So what happens if somebody doesn't save like their bookkeeping history and stuff like that, like their documents? Let's say they're supposed to be doing payroll and they're not saving stuff, they're not doing what they're supposed to do, and you guys happen to be on an audit. What happens to their deductions? Like what really goes on?
Yeah, I mean, if somebody doesn't have the backup, the support, the receipts to back up a deduction, that burden of proof is always on the taxpayer. So from the IRS perspective, we have to prove, if a company or a business owner, a taxpayer, we need to prove revenue. So that burden of proof is on us. But if a
Mhm.
taxpayer wants to take a deduction, that burden of proof is on them. So if they don't have the receipts, if they don't have the support, the payroll information, the IRS can just say, you know what, we're not going to allow any deductions at all for that, because you can't back it up. And when you
Right,
can't have any deductions, your tax liability skyrockets. The IRS
right.
doesn't care,
Ooh.
but they'll do it.
Oh my God. And what about the people who like they have back taxes they haven't filed and they're just like sitting there and cruising,
Oh yeah,
not getting it
don't do
done?
that. Don't cruise, because the IRS is going to hold you accountable for years and years of taxes. They have statute of limitations that go way beyond what most people think, and they're going to come after you with penalties and interest that you're going to owe for not paying them on time. And you don't want
Wow.
to owe that.
Oh my God. Yeah, I'm glad you're saying that because a lot of people they don't really understand and they're not taking it serious and they wait till last minute. And some of them when they get the surprise bill, some of them don't even have the money to pay and the horror stories start right
Yeah.
there.
My best advice is really to get your taxes filed early, and throughout the year, keep an organized, file of everything. Separate business from personal expenses so it's easy to send to your accountant and you're not losing your mind during tax
Mm,
season. Really try to stay organized. And I know it's hard, but if you have to hire a bookkeeper, if you have to hire a tax preparer to do it for you, do it, because it's going to save you money in the long run. Because if you get audited and they come after you, they're going to disallow your deductions that you can't prove, and they're going to question it. They're going to say, hey, you know what? What is this? Why do you
yeah.
have 10,000 in marketing? Where are the receipts? And if they're mixed in with your personal accounts,
Mhm.
it's going to be a nightmare for you to find,
Oh
and you're going
my
to,
God.
so
And your department, do you guys go specifically after high income earners or what type of people do y'all target?
yeah. So in the department that I'm currently in,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm a CPA, I go into the large business and international. So I'm really dealing with corporations that are 10 million in assets or more. But
Mm-hmm.
I know about the small business self-employed
Mm-hmm.
department. I know a lot of people in there. They go after people, as regular as us, and people that are
Mm-hmm.
millionaires, high net worth individuals. But don't think because you're not a high net worth individual, they won't come after you, because
Right.
they'll go, like I said in the beginning, there's personnel and staff to go after more folks.
Mm-hmm.
Now, obviously, if your case is that you got flagged for something that's large, unusual, or questionable, we call it in the IRS
Mm-hmm.
LUNC, large, unusual, questionable transaction. So
Right.
that can happen just by the nature of the business. Maybe one year, something came up, or, you just had a lot more customers and
Mm-hmm.
there's just a fluctuation, but that could get flagged by the IRS and you could get audited for something as simple as that. So, you want to be prepared
Mm.
and have everything organized.
Wow. That is some good information. I'm glad you're saying that. I mean, there's a lot of things going on here. Like me being a business owner, one of the primary challenges that I have, a lot of clients, they worry about price a lot.
Mm-hmm.
They worry about price a lot. And I'm
Yeah.
like, that's the least of your problems. You need to be
Yeah.
focused on quality, on having somebody that can really get you where you need to be so you don't get in that trouble. Because, in my opinion, if you get in trouble, to me, you're wasting more time and money being in trouble versus staying in compliance.
Yeah. I always think, as a business owner, if you're going to own a business, you really want to focus on driving your business
Mm-hmm.
and operations. All the back end stuff, unless you specialize in accounting or you just have the time to do it,
Yes.
I mean, hire somebody to
Ye-
do it. And
Yeah.
it's you pay you get what you pay for. So if
Yeah.
you want to be cheap, you're gonna get cheap services. You're not gonna get the best. And honestly, the work that we do is very important. There's only two
Yeah.
things in life: death and taxes. And
Yeah.
we're like the experts, and I'm on the IRS side now. At one point was either in your shoes as a taxpayer. I've been a
Mm-hmm.
tax preparer, and it's
Right.
like I'm seeing all sides of it now. And
Right.
the IRS does not play.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. I heard of people going to jail and everything. Like
Yeah,
even recently in the news this morning, I woke up and this guy went to jail for not paying 2.5 million in, payroll taxes. And
yeah.
that's
And
the
let me
kind of
tell
thing a
you,
lot of people they hire ADP and they hire all these other companies. I mean, it's okay to hire these companies, but you still need like a middle person, an accountant who can be there to like watch and see, are those monies really getting paid, are those
right,
reports really being filed. And I feel like that's where the IRS gets like a lot of these
right.
business owners.
There's a lot of forms and things to file, and unless you're a tax preparer, you're in the business, you may not know. And as a business owner, you have way too many things going on. And at the
Yeah.
IRS, I can try to just explain the different types of departments and how they work. So me, I'm a revenue agent. My
Mm-hmm.
job is to go after taxpayers and
Mm-hmm.
assess more tax. So I make
Mm-hmm.
an assessment and I say, okay, let's look at Desi's taxes and make sure all the deductions are appropriate, they're backed up, and all the
Mm-hmm.
income is reported. She's not underreporting income and she's not
Mm-hmm.
overstating deductions. And that's my job, is to basically try to assess more taxes. That's a revenue
Mm-hmm.
agent. A
Right.
revenue officer's job is to go knock on Desi's door once that assessment is made and collect. They are the tax collectors.
Right.
And then
Right.
you have like the criminal investigation
Mm-hmm.
unit. So you have some people that are intentionally trying to dodge taxes. So you have tax preparers like yourself, Desi, that know how
Mm-hmm.
to legally minimize somebody's taxes. But then there's people that want to cheat the system. And
Yeah.
those folks,
I can't hear you. Okay, I can hear you now. The
oh,
last
sorry,
thing I heard you say was there's folks like myself, tax preparers, who know
sorry.
how to legally minimize the taxes, and there's other people who want to cheat the system.
There's
Then I didn't hear.
there's people that want to cheat the system and intentionally violate the law and dodge taxes illegally.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a department for that in the IRS, the Criminal Investigation Unit
Mm-hmm.
of the IRS. They're sworn special agent law enforcement officers, and they investigate tax crimes, they investigate money laundering, anything that has to do with the Internal Revenue Code violations. They're the
Mm-hmm.
only law enforcement agency in the country that has the ability to go after tax crimes. So you have
Mm-hmm.
revenue agents like myself assessing the taxes, doing the audits, looking through to make sure you have all the receipts and your ducks are in order. And then you
Mm-hmm.
have revenue officers knocking down your door trying to
Oh
collect it.
my
And
God.
I mean, the IRS is really cracking down on improperly filed and people that are not paying their taxes.
And then you
So
mentioned receipts. So a lot of people, like some people I work with and some people I don't work with, they feel like, oh, isn't my bank statement enough?
no, bank statements are not enough. A bank statement can show anything. You can have a bank statement where you just pull out $500 in cash, and then there's no real history of what's going on there. You know,
Right.
the receipt is the best proof that you have to fight an audit claim by the IRS.
Right.
The bank statement, you know it holds some water, but you don't want to just go off of that alone because it may not be enough. They could still deny you. So keep your
Mm-hmm.
receipts, show what you paid for, keep them digitally, and just archive them somewhere. If you really can't do that, hire a bookkeeper to do it for you on a monthly basis, because you need to
Yeah.
keep track of these things monthly.
What about people who take loans? They get deposits in the bank and they have loans. You shouldn't have to pay taxes on a loan, right?
Correct. No, a loan is simply a debt. It's financing. But if the IRS can't tell whether something's a loan or whether it's a deposit from a customer, they're going to treat it like income. So make sure you have the paperwork and the backup that supports a loan. So if you're getting a loan, make sure you keep those loan paperworks and the agreement so that when the
Mm-hmm.
IRS says this is income, you say, no, this isn't income. Here's the agreement where it was money loaned out.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Mm-hmm.
my job is to try to assess more income on the taxpayer. I want to
Mm-hmm.
prove that there is more income and that there's less deductions
You're
allowed. That's my
right.
job.
Right. Wow, this is huge. This is huge because some people don't know that, and some people are overpaying in taxes
Yeah.
because of, things like that.
Yeah. And, I think from my side, there's so many ways that people can mitigate these problems. Really being organized,
Mm-hmm.
paying your quarterly taxes,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
separating business from personal expenses, keeping receipts. It sounds like a lot, and it probably is.
Yeah.
I've never been a business owner. And,
Yeah.
in my head, if I was a business owner,
Yeah.
I would just focus on my business, making money and growing my business. And the back end stuff like taxes, legal stuff, like I outsource that. I'd hire somebody to do it because my
Mm-hmm.
job is to be the business owner and the operator, drive my business forward. These are like an
Yes.
accountant, a lawyer, these administrative duties. This is a cost of doing business. At the end of the day,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to pay them, but you're going to still deduct the cost of certain of that,
Right. That's the juicy part right there. Whatever they spend on the business for the business is deductible.
Right.
But then you gotta spend it in the business bank account. You gotta follow the rules and all that. So
Right. And one thing I
um
always say is don't just pay for tax preparation, get
mm,
tax consulting throughout the year.
yes.
Meet with your tax advisor throughout the year and they'll give you tax strategies. If
Mm,
you have a big transaction that you're about to do, talk to your
mm-hmm,
accountant before you do it. Don't just do it and then during tax season be like, hey, Desi, I did this transaction back in April. How is this
mm-hmm.
going to affect it? It's too late. You
Right,
need to talk to them and
right,
be proactive.
right. Wow. It's definitely not something to play with.
No, no. I
Definitely
mean,
not.
yeah.
And about the criminal investigation department, can you just give me a little insight on what happens there?
Yeah, absolutely. So, in the criminal investigation department, these are sworn law enforcement officers. They go to the same basic training as like the DEA, the HSI, the FBI, Secret Service agents. They're training with them. They're basically accountants with a gun. And their job is to prosecute tax crimes. So any
Mm,
sort of tax violation in the IRC code, they're going after that. And they get leads from all over the place. They get leads from the civil side. So we say a civil side is really like the revenue agents, the revenue officers. We are what's called civil. And then obviously
mm,
criminal investigation, they're the criminal side.
mm,
So they get leads from the civil side, they get whistleblowers, they
mm,
have like district attorney office leads, other departments, federal agencies. So maybe you have like the drug enforcement agency, they have a drug bust that they're going to do. And, any drug bust, it's basically money laundering because, you're not paying your taxes on the money that they were collecting by drug dealing and the
mm.
money that they're spending. There's a lot of money laundering that gets intermingled with other crimes.
Yeah.
And the criminal investigation unit, they go after all of that. But first and foremost, tax crimes, any sort of tax violation, they're going after it.
Wow. What's the easiest way to fall or get into a problem like that?
The easiest way to fall into a problem.
Yeah, to fall under the tax crime. What's the easiest way to get caught here?
Oh, I mean, like intentionally evading your taxes. So if you, for example, you have payroll taxes that you should pay, but you're paying somebody underneath the table. You know,
Oh.
if
Oh.
there could be a whistleblower, maybe there's some inconsistencies. Maybe you have you have an employee that's a contractor. Maybe you have a contractor, not an employee, but you're paying them and you're deducting that, and then the contractor, they're not reporting that income. Well, there's that inconsistency where the IRS is saying, well, the business owner is taking a deduction for a contractor, but I don't see the contractor reporting that income on their 1040. And a lot of people don't realize, I think, that have independent contracts, they need to
Mm-hmm.
pay their taxes and designate that out throughout the year. Because as an independent contractor, they're not taking withholdings through the taxes. They're paying you gross. You know, most people
Mm-hmm.
want to say, why am I getting the net paycheck and I don't get gross? Well, if
Yeah.
you're an independent contractor, you get gross. And so if you're intentionally not paying your taxes there, or maybe you have a rental house out on the keys and you're not reporting
Yeah.
that rental income, they're going to come after you.
And I guess that's another reason why it's important for business owners when they hire contractors that they get these W-9s from day one.
Right.
Because,
Right.
there are some contractors, they don't want to fill it out. They don't want to give it to you. I mean, it literally happened to me one time and the person never
Yeah.
showed back up. So,
Oh no. Yeah.
yeah.
It's a very interesting, agency. I
Mm-hmm.
come from the private side. I've worked in public accounting, but now in the government, I see how they roll. There's a lot of procedures. They dot their I's, they cross their T's. So just know if you're getting audited, they basically already know. And
Mm-hmm.
they're coming after you hard, and you
Yeah.
you better hire, somebody to represent you.
Wow. And back to your department, I know you said that you guys do go after the high income earners. What about the non-filers, people who are not filing their taxes intentionally?
Yeah.
Or they find out they owing some money and now it's like I don't want to put that in because it's
Yeah.
too much or whatever.
Those are
What
the easiest people to find, because let's say you were filing taxes 2018 through 2020 and then all of a sudden you just fell off the earth. The IRS is they're going to find you. You're going to get flagged and you're going to get audited, and that's one of the easiest things to prosecute, because
Yeah.
they're going to be like, well, what were you doing for the last 4 years? You just living in mom's
Wow.
basement? And they're going to find where you were making the income.
And that's
they're
another way people can go to jail, right? By
yeah, they can
not
easily
filing them.
subpoena all your bank statements.
Right.
If you ever deposited any money, unless you were doing everything in cash, which still
Mm-hmm.
that, I wouldn't suggest that. So they'll
Mm-hmm.
come after
Wow.
you if you're not filing your taxes. That's one of the easiest ways to go down.
So what I'm hearing tonight in our conversation is that IRS is not to be played with. You gotta do the right things. You gotta do the right things all the time. You gotta CYA, cover your assets all the time. Make sure you're
Yeah.
saving that history.
Yeah.
You better get the best help you can get. Stop hiring cheap people because sometimes cheap ain't always the answer. You rather be safe and secured and have the peace of mind that you need instead of, going for, you
Yeah.
know, pennies on the
Hire
dollar.
the experts. I mean, the IRS, we have the personnel, and there's so much training going on to find these non-compliant taxpayers. And
Mm-hmm.
we go all the way from people that have just a W-2 to like millionaires,
Mm-hmm.
businesses that have 10 million in assets or more. The IRS is cracking down, because you think about our country right now is,
Mm-hmm.
people, want to evade taxes as much as possible, but and the IRS and the government knows that they're not bringing in as much revenue as they know they should be bringing in.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of hard for politicians to say, well, let's cut Social Security, cut Medicare. A solution to kind of not cutting services for the people is to try to just raise revenue. And to raise revenue, you just enforce the laws that are already there.
Yeah.
You hire more revenue agents, you hire more officers, criminal investigators, and you collect from the people that
Right.
aren't paying. So
Right. And the key to for businesses is to make sure you have a good bookkeeper. I had a situation today I wanted to tell you about. This lady called me and she had receipts everywhere. She's like the business owner has a shoebox. She got all types of stuff in there. She's trying to put things together. She was
mhm.
losing her mind. She feels like the IRS is gonna barge in. She's like, oh well, I'm the bookkeeper right now, but I need another bookkeeper to help me out. And I'm going like, well, why are you even in this situation if you're doing the bookkeeping? Like, why do you even have to go for the shoebox? That shouldn't even
Right,
be the thing to do. Why is this
right.
business owner not spending money in her business bank account like she should? And
Yeah.
so it was just so interesting.
Wow. what a terrible, and she could have avoided all of that.
Mm-hmm.
She did the right thing from the
Mm-hmm.
beginning. And I
By
know it's hard.
hiring the right help, because all this time this business owner, and the business owner still doesn't know, because I didn't speak to
Mm.
the business owner, I spoke to the bookkeeper there. So the business owner still doesn't know she has a bootleg bookkeeper in there. So I feel so bad for her, but
And
yeah.
it's sad. I mean, I'll say this for people, anybody listening and considering, it's never too late. I mean, if you're a business owner and you didn't start off on the right foot, you didn't keep your receipts in order, you could
Mhm.
hire somebody to clean up your books one
Yeah.
time, and then maybe you want to go ahead and try it on your own. Maybe you need
Mhm.
somebody to just clean it up, help
Mhm.
you get organized one
Mhm.
time, and then you can try it on your own. Or maybe, you're going to clean everything else yourself
Right.
and then hire somebody to do it going forward. But
Yeah.
don't dig a hole,
Yeah.
don't stay in the
Yeah.
hole.
Yeah.
The IRS is going to find you. And
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to like scare you, but you need to
Yeah.
be ready, because
Yeah.
it's a privilege. What I
At
always
all
say is it's a
times.
privilege to be a business
Mhm.
owner and take the tax advantages. Because let's say
Yes.
you're somebody like me who's just a revenue agent and I'm a W-2 employee. I don't get the same tax benefits as a business owner. I don't get to deduct my
Mhm.
gas or my light that I'm using in my house. Like, I don't get
Mhm.
those benefits. So if you're trying to take advantage of some of these benefits, you have to do your due diligence,
Right.
because you have a responsibility. Otherwise, you're
Yes.
not going to get it. You can't have
Absolutely.
your cake and eat it too.
You
You
can.
better, yeah.
Well,
That's
it
my
was
tea.
so nice chatting with you. I love your tea. I really do. And I hope you come again on this show.
Absolutely. Thank you for inviting me. I would love to.
Yes, yes. Well, we'll see you soon, Mr. Nicholson.
Thank you,
Bye.
everybody. Stay safe, pay your taxes, and file early. Tax season's coming up. File as soon as you get your stuff.
Yes,
January, February, no later, people.
you guys heard that. File early, okay?
Yeah. All right, guys. Take
All
care.
right.
Happy
Bye.
holidays.
You too.